Aliens Dark Descent. Available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox Game Pass, it's the perfect strategy gaming tribute to the Aliens movie. But should you buy it right now? This video will answer all of your questions by starting with a 60-second, too long didn't read overview of the game, so you can tap out early if it doesn't appeal to you. Then we'll see what it's like to actually play it by packing in as much detail about the gameplay as humanly possible, before looking at some more practical considerations and the different types of players this game might appeal to, all to help you decide whether this game is worth your time and money today. Aliens Dark Descent is basically an Aliens the Movie simulator. Working through a genuinely decent campaign, you spend most of your time commanding a squad of 4 Marines from a top-down view. The squad work their way through a variety of installations across the planet as they try to save people and scavenge parts to take back to base as the main story unfolds. You need to manage the mental and physical health of your Marines, upgrading and customizing them when they get back to base as they gain experience, before choosing 4 to deploy for the next mission. Although 4 Marines can take out 1 Xeno with relative ease, each bullet fired increases the hive's aggressiveness towards them, which can quickly spiral out of control as you attempt to progress through the campaign before the alien presence consumes the planet. So if you like the sound of an Aliens simulator, don't mind constant tension from the motion tracker, and enjoy a cinematic strategy game akin to XCOM, if that means anything to you, then Aliens Dark Descent might be your cup of tea. If that hasn't put you off, then grab a drink and get comfortable as we look through the detail of what you actually do in this game. Aliens Dark Descent involves completing a series of single-player missions, each with many main objectives, the main one being getting your squad of Marines back alive. However, completing the game is not simply about completing each mission. The infestation level of the planet increases over time, and there's not much you can do to stop it. Although you can extract from a mission when things get hairy, then go back and pick up where you left off, doing so means the infestation level gets higher, making future missions more difficult. Managing this doomsday clock by completing missions in as few attempts as possible, while still managing the health of your Marines and conserving resources, is the main challenge of this game. You are in effect punished for having to abandon a mission partway through because your Marines took too much damage or ran out of resources, and there comes a point where you simply cannot progress the campaign. With that said, ultimately, Aliens Dark Descent is a game of 2 parts. You will spend the majority of your time controlling a squad of 4 Marines from an overhead view as they explore a facility, advancing the story, collecting resources, and fighting off aliens when detected. Then the second part of the game is back at base between missions, researching improvements, upgrading your Marines and their weapons using resources you've obtained, amongst other things. As we dive into the detail, we're going to start by focusing on the facility exploration, as that's what you spend most of your time actually doing before looking at what you do between missions. After selecting your mission, you will deploy 4 Marines to tackle it, choosing which specific Marines you want to take and exactly what their equipment will be. Once you're actually in a mission, it's basically a case of exploring the map, preferably utilizing stealth and occasionally using an APC to get around and as fire support. One of the best parts of the game is the motion tracker as you explore the facility. The way it works, looks, and sounds is absolutely perfect for fans of the Aliens movie. In terms of how it affects your gameplay, it's basically a game of Pac-Man. Alien drones will wander the facility. If they get into line of sight, you don't have long to break it before they spot you and trigger a hunt. Stealth is a big part of the game, especially at the higher levels of difficulty. And it's definitely better for your Marines to hide when they have the option, rather than engage Xenos with loud, attention-drawing gunfire. There are tools you can use to distract aliens and generally throw them off the scent, but using the motion tracker for this game of cat and mouse is a constant feature of Aliens Dark Descent and keeps the tension at a perfectly agonizing level throughout the game. In an ideal world, you'll win the game of Pac-Man, thereby avoiding the alien drones using your motion tracker, while locating and extracting resources without a shot being fired. But the reality is that either through making a mistake or a story event beyond your control, your Marines will get spotted. Then the real fun begins. Generally speaking, all you do in this game is tell your squad of 4 where to go, not as individuals, but as a squad of 4. Telling them to either walk so they can still shoot, or sprint, interacting with loot boxes and objective items along the way. The Marines will decide when and where to shoot when the time comes. But positioning is everything, and that's up to you. However, you can pause or slow down time, opening a tactical menu where you can, for example, select the shotgun or grenade launcher and tell the Marines exactly where you want that shot to land before returning to full game speed to see if you got the timing and direction right. The precise use of certain weapons by the player can be the difference between surviving a wave of aliens or all of your Marines dying, with my personal highlight being the sentry guns, which are a literal lifesaver, but burn through ammo so quickly. Eventually, the aliens will make it through your Marines' field of fire, and your team will start to take damage. Your Marines start with some armor, which can be upgraded, but once their armor is gone, the Marine loses health bars, which can be restored with a first aid kit if you still have any, but it doesn't take long for your Marine to suffer light wounds and heavy wounds, which affect the Marine's performance in some way, whether that's movement speed, restricting them to using their sidearm only, that sort of thing. You also need to watch out for splash damage when shooting aliens, as when they get too close to your Marine, the acid can splash onto them and reduce their health, so moving away from the aliens while shooting is always a good idea if you can. Ultimately, an injured Marine will need time to heal back at base before you should take them back out onto a combat mission. The more damage they take during a mission, the longer they'll be out of action. So this game is about so much more than simply taking damage, then restoring health with a medkit. As a mission progresses, your Marines will inevitably encounter stressful situations. For example, the more aliens they encounter, have to kill, and especially when they take damage. All of this is made worse when that Marine has a specific phobia, such as pyrophobia, which will make that Marine even more stressed around fire, for example. As stress increases, your Marine will go through 4 different stress levels: relaxed, anxious, panicked, and terrified. As they go through these increasing stress levels, they pick up stress effects, such as shaking, which will reduce their accuracy, and disruptive will increase the stress of the squad overall. Then, at the end of the mission, each Marine will gain trauma based on their peak stress from that particular mission, which eventually leads to them picking up psychological disorders that will result in a particular negative effect. So, pyrophobia, as I mentioned before, but there are loads of others like hypochondriac, claustrophobia, and paranoia, all of which either increases stress in their own right on subsequent missions, or generally makes that Marine less effective. You can treat a Marine in a psychiatric care unit, but that will put them out of action for a long time. There are ways to reduce stress mid-mission. You can enter a room and weld the doors to create a safe space, though this does cost you valuable tool points. You can also have them take nap relief pills or morphine, which consumes medical supplies. But the best way to manage stress is to stop it accumulating in the first place, wherever possible. Managing the stress levels of your Marines and the subsequent trauma they develop is a core element of Aliens Dark Descent, and makes the game about so much more than managing a health bar or running out of ammo. Stress can easily get out of control and basically end your run in its own right. Once an alien knows where you are, you will become hunted, which, very much like in GTA, increases the number of aliens, and they home in on your last detected location. It's relatively straightforward to find a safe space until the hunt stops, as it's only a matter of time until the hunt gets called off. But over the course of each mission, the alien aggressiveness bar will increase. As it does so, you will become hunted again, or worse, you will trigger a massive onslaught, which means quickly finding a defensible position, preferably with one entrance and a long line of sight kill zone, and it's even possible to attract a Category 2 Xeno, which is like a mini boss battle. Although stealth is the ideal solution, almost inevitably you will attract attention and will find the alien aggressiveness meter is yet another factor that needs to be managed, as dealing with alien attention in a loud way attracts more attention, which can quickly send you into a death spiral. So that's what you'll spend most of your time doing, exploring with a consistently high heart rate and hoping to complete the mission without your Marines experiencing too much physical and mental trauma. But between missions, you'll spend time back at your base. Let's take a quick tour of the different areas within your base. Let's start at the medical quarters. Here, your Marines will recover from their wounds over a number of days, and you can allocate a very limited number of doctors to a specific Marine to speed up their healing progress. Similarly, there is also a psychiatric ward that is effectively the same, but for the mental trauma that your Marines suffer and take time to get over. This may sound straightforward, but deciding which Marine you want to heal up faster can be a particularly difficult decision. In the laboratory, you can provide a mad scientist with Xeno samples that you will pick up from defeated Xenos during your missions. The mad scientist uses these samples to research improved equipment, such as grenades, and improved body armor for you to equip your Marines with on your next mission. In the workshop, you'll be manufacturing weapons and equipment for your Marines. As your Marines explore installations, they will come across and collect a resource called materials, which can be used to craft these weapons, as well as ammo and upgrading equipment, encouraging you to explore beyond simply completing the main mission objectives. The Marines themselves are a precious resource in Aliens Dark Descent. Each one is an individual with statistics and a bit of personality, and you'll likely not forget the moment you lose your first Marine. Marines earn experience while on a mission, eventually ranking up, and there comes a point where you can choose a class for them, which will bring different abilities and perks. The various abilities, perks, and other quirks really affect how that Marine plays during a mission, giving you an interesting set of choices when deciding which 4 Marines should deploy. Inevitably, your favourite Marines will get injured and be unavailable for the next few missions while they recover, forcing you to diversify and invest in several Marines to spread your bets, while still trying to level them all up to be as strong as possible. Between missions, you'll have a lot of difficult decisions to make, putting Marines into intensive training to improve their experience, deciding which classes to assign, which traits you'd like to allocate to each Marine, some of which affect the other Marines in the squads they deploy with. It's a fun mini-game between missions, containing difficult choices that have a tangible effect on subsequent deployments. Your Marines start off with the good old pulse rifle, which later on can be upgraded to a heavier variant, and there is also a plasma rifle and of course everyone's favourite smart gun. There are also secondary weapons, pistols and an SMG, though I don't recall ever actually using one. Then finally there are special weapons, being a flamethrower, RPG launcher, shotgun, sniper rifle, and a mine. Although there aren't a crazy number of weapons to choose from, they are absolutely faithful to the Aliens movie, and further reinforce the Aliens simulator vibe of this game. Without wanting to give too much away, the story of Aliens Dark Descent takes place in the year 2198, starting on a space station but quickly moving to an alien-infested planet. Of course, there comes a point where you question whether your allies are really your allies, and all in all, this is a genuinely decent story. And not just for a video game, it's better than all the movies that have been released since the Aliens movie, in my opinion. Overall, I wouldn't call the experience stressful or scary as such, more like constant tension as you explore the facilities, attempting to avoid engagements and worsening the aggressiveness of the hive. You don't play this game, it plays you, like a fiddle, making your heart rate go up and up and up until you reach a point where you'd rather just start shooting, which is exactly what the game wants you to do. Hopefully by now you have an idea of what it's like to actually play Aliens Dark Descent, so let's address some of the more practical considerations that might affect your purchasing decision. The principles of Alien Dark Descent are really quite straightforward. Combined with a decent tutorial that teaches you while you progress through the campaign, it's a game that won't take long to pick up, but will take time to master. Time to play might be an issue for some of you, as realistically, you'll want to complete at least one mission per play session, and the last thing you want to do is try to rush because you're running out of time. You'll want an hour per session at the very least, preferably 90 minutes to 2 hours, if you're to get the most out of the game. Aliens Dark Descent is a single-player campaign experience only. As the game released a few years ago, it's pretty much always on sale, so please, never pay full price. Most recently, the discount has been up to 60%, so you can grab a real bargain with this one in the near future. There is a fair amount of longevity with this game, as it will take time to complete the campaign, and even then it's equal parts challenging and rewarding to go back and try again at a higher difficulty level. There is a DLC for the game, but it's effectively a way of donating more to the developers, as you really don't get much with it. So with all that said, is Aliens Dark Descent right for you today? As always, it depends who you are and what you're into. This game is aimed squarely at those who like the Aliens movie. If Alien Isolation was a great alien simulator, then this game is the perfect Aliens simulator. The attention to detail is superb, and overall, the vibe is absolutely spot on. They hit the nail on the head, and considering Aliens is one of my favourite movies, I would personally recommend this game to any fans. If you ignore the setting and look at this purely from a strategy game point of view, then Aliens Dark Descent is middle of the road. There are a lot of variables for you to play with here, managing a variety of resources and some genuinely tough decisions to make along the way. Fans of XCOM will clearly recognise the gameplay loop, but simply put, this game is not competition for XCOM, but it does put in a respectable showing for fans of that genre of game. If you aren't too fussed by the Alien franchise or the genre of game, then it's still worth considering if you enjoy a good story. The ride is quite wild at times and ultimately delivers a decent story for those looking to get their teeth stuck into a respectable roster of characters. However, it is constantly full of tension, so if you're a wimp like me, you might find it difficult to keep going through the campaign. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask, or if you already own the game and have some additional information you'd like to add, please let us all know in the comments below. If you found the video useful, please leave a like for the algorithm gods, and if you enjoy this style of review, consider subscribing for more content. And I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.